live from it. Welcome to live from NCCE. Uh, Super excited that you guys are here, or you're getting in and you're joining. I am Holly Holland, a professional learning specialist with Northwest Council for Computer Education. Now, NCCE, if you don't know, is a nonprofit professional learning organization that specializes in bringing, cutting edge, world class trainings to educators around the world. And tonight we have one of those here with us today. And I'm so excited to be joined with one of my favorite ed tech and overall amazing gurus, Claudio.
Hey, Holly, how's it going?
It's good. I'm super excited. Oh, I've been waiting for this. I was just talking to my son about I think it was 4 or 5 years ago, meeting you through the Twitter world with a sing a
Yeah,
song.
sing a song.
Ooh. Yep,
I
yep.
remember.
So,
I
but
remember. I remember y'all singing too.
yeah, a few times. Very embarrassing. But but we're so honored that you are here to join us with live from NCCE, and super excited to hear all about sharing your story and storytelling. Can you tell us about
Yeah. So, got some tools for storytelling. Just kind of some of the things that you can use. I probably won't do a total deep dive into it just for the sake of time, but just kind of give you some ideas and tips, and then some of the tools, some of the ones that I love to use and I think are great that anybody can use from, as long as you have internet access, pretty much anyone can use it. And a lot of them are free. Some are freemium, but I'll let you know kind of like where those are at. But yeah, I love talking about storytelling. So should we just go ahead and jump in now, or are we still doing like intro? Okay, so it's a go.
that? Let's go. Let's go.
Awesome. So all right, well, let me fix my screen here a little bit. So again, so talking about some different tools, and then I've got some extra ones at the end. But the main ones that I want to talk about are the Adobe Spark. I just love Adobe Spark. It is such an easy tool to use, and one of the great things about it's a free. There's K through 12 education, you can have it all for free. There's just a setup that has to be done in the back end. And you have basically a whole premium version that a lot of other people have to subscribe and pay for. If you have the Creative Cloud, you have access to it as well. You may not even know you have it, but if you have Creative Cloud, you subscribe to it, you actually have access to Adobe Spark. And so I'm gonna just kind of talk about the big three, which are Adobe Spark Post, Video, and Page. And I love using these tools to tell your story. And so I was trying to find the right picture here, like talking, thinking about tools. I use tools all the time, building. I love to woodwork. So I've got like table saws and drills and all that kind of stuff. So I was trying to find the right tool or picture to talk about tools, and you might be thinking, what does hammers and all these pliers have to do? And that's what I really wanted to take with that image is, finding the right tool for the right job. That if you're sharing your story, there's these three different tools: Spark, Post, and Page, and Video. You can do so much with those three. If you just have access to just those three, you're going to accomplish a ton and share your story the way that you want to. And so I'm going to start right here. First off, just FYI, this page that I'm actually using it for my presentation, it is a Spark page. I created this in Adobe Spark. I used to use way back I should say I've actually used it this past year, PowerPoint, but it was pretty much the tool to use. And then our district was a Google district, so I've used Google Slides, and it's a great tool. So they both are great, and I think they serve their purpose. What I love about Spark Page, and I'm kind of jumping to Spark Page right now, just because I'm using it to present. So this is actually what I do from now on for all my presentations when I present at ISTE-TCA, which is a Texas conference. A few years back, I was able to go to FETC. It feels like forever now. But I use Spark Page for my presentations because what I'm doing right now is a presentation mode for Spark, and you may not even know that that's available. It is you have kind of a presentation mode that you can use. So I'm actually going to click right here. Now I'm in edit view. So if you see all these menus up here at the top, and then I'm not going to click present here because it'll go full screen, but that's what it does. It goes full screen as you presenting. But I can do a preview. That's what I want to show you. And that's kind of what I'm presenting to you as preview. And that's because we're using StreamYard here to present. So I kind of wanted to tell you that. I use this all the time for my presentations. So now talking about Adobe Spark Post. I use this tool every day. It is probably my most used app on my phone, apart from like email. I use Fastmail and then Instagram and Twitter. Apart from those, like creation-wise tool application, Spark Post is probably my most used, and then I've got some others that I use. So if I did not have Adobe Spark Post, I could use Photoshop, but then I'd have to be on a computer. I won't be able to do Spark Post, which I love. Then I can do it on my phone. If you're not familiar with Adobe Spark, you can use it on your mobile phone, iOS. Use it on an Android. You can use it on a Chromebook. You can use it on a Mac. You can use it on Windows. It's multi-platform, device agnostic. So, and that's of all the three that I'm sharing with you, Spark Post is pretty much all across. Anybody can use it on any platform. And so one of the things that I love using about it is creating animated graphics. And I'll when I leave here, this Spark page, I'll show you what I mean by animated graphic. And that's just basically having an image and then animating either the image or the text. And why don't I'll go ahead and actually, let me open up another window here and actually show you quickly an animated graphic. And now I'm going to see some names here. Hey, Jeffrey, what's going on, man? And I see Michael's here as well, joining us. And Mike, just wanted to give a shout out there. All right, so animated graphic. This is something that pretty much I use almost all the time. Let's see here. So right here, let's go with this one here. And what the reason I use animated graphic whenever I upload an image, it just tends to get more traction. More people will stop and look at it as opposed to just a photo. Now, I'm a photographer. I love taking photos and just static images, but something about animation, people just are drawn to it. So one of the great things is when you tell your story and you want people to see your story, stop and read it or look at it, use the animation. So that right there is animated graphic. So just take text and just animate the text. There's no coding involved. And it's all built into Adobe Spark, which is great. And then the other things that I have here are, let me just kind of, I'm going to open these up into new tabs. So we have this, I call this the text portrait photo. It's a great activity for students to use, for you to share a story, to take a selfie, and then you overlay it with text. And this can be like a quote, something that you live by, maybe your mantra, your motto, kind of what you kind of always share and people know you by. I love this activity for that. And when I shared this, it's actually like over a year ago. It's almost at the start of when everything kind of got shut down. I shared this, and a ton of people just like, "Oh my God, this is a great activity for my students," and a lot of people jumped on this. And I love to share it still because it's a great activity. And one of the cool things right here, you remix this design, and I'll be sure to drop the link in the. I think Holly will actually share that with you all, but you can actually click on it and remix it yourself. So take your own picture and add it there. So that's the portrait. I like using this too. In Spark is creating these kind of selfie memes. That's a great activity. Again, take a few of these kind of sequential stories, or even your students, if they have something they want to share. Maybe they're doing a book review and maybe they're kind of have some thoughts about the book. I kind of say this kind of like a review, but kind of doing something with what's current, memes and selfies, and taking that and kind of bringing it into the classroom. And one of the other things that you can do with Spark is create what I call comic strips with it. And actually, I have this linked in the Spark page, so you can check this out. In Adobe Education Exchange, there's actually a full lesson. You click on there, and it walks you through how to create this, how much time it'll take, and the activity, the tools you'll need. And so that basically is a full lesson. So if you ever want to check it out, that is linked right here. So that's Adobe Spark. And again, as I mentioned, just doing kind of a quick overview of what you can do with Spark. So now I'm going to jump over to Spark Video, and let me open these up into a new tab. So Adobe Spark Video, it's a great tool to get into kind of video editing. It's not as robust as like Adobe Premiere or even Adobe Rush or even like WeVideo, iMovie, which you can do a lot more kind of layering of videos. You can add a video clip and another one on top. Adobe Spark Video is basically linear. You're creating a linear story, but it gives you so much, a lot of effects that you can add with text, coloring. You can theme. You can add music, music soundtrack. There we go. I couldn't get it out. So using it for like field trips, and biographies, maybe like a video journal. So this was like a field trip to Washington, D.C. You probably might not be able to hear it here. I think I have the audio. Let me see if I can. Audio coming from computer. It should be, well, but it's not. See, I don't. You're not able to hear, but I have audio coming through the background. Actually, let's see. Let's do a quick fix here. $1 million. There it is.
There were many prehistoric bones exhibited.
So those little, I'm going to go ahead and just mute the audio there. So basically, this is a trip to DC, and this was years ago. It's not last year, and just kind of talking about the different places we visited, and just in a video format, and all those slide transitions that you saw. Those are all already in there, and all you have to do is just drop in videos or images. This is taking a little while to load. This is just kind of a recap of my parents. It's kind of like a biography about them, as from where they came when they immigrated to the United States, and then, years later, I appeared. So this is kind of going through where they lived and kind of traveling to the States. And then this one here, I think I'm just having a little bit of internet speed. This right here is just this was a journal that I did for a trip that I took, which is great. Your students have something they want to share. Video wise, again, and photo. What's nice about Adobe Spark Video is you can have static images in there. You can have videos, as you saw the bike, like these right here. These were shot on my GoPro that I had back then, and I took the pictures on my phone. And I'm able to use video from a device like a GoPro, pictures from my iPhone, pictures from a camera, and drop them into Spark Video. And again, all those transitions, all that text that you see just popping up, that's done. I do have to type it in. I do have to choose it, but all that animations program, all those transitions are done for you. You don't have to actually program them. And again, that is Spark Video and Spark Page. This right here, as I mentioned, this is what I'm using for my presentation. So not only can you use it for presentations, I love it for portfolios. So if you have an artist, maybe you're an artist, you bake, craft work, photo, all these things that you can do to tell your story, put them together as a web page. And it's basically a single web page, has its own web address, and you use it again to share a story. This is some of my daughter's artwork. In fact, needs to be updated. This is a few years old. She's an amazing artist, and this is just kind of some of her artwork that she does. So this is just telling her story through her artwork. No text or no video here. It's basically just artwork. You can actually add video in a Spark page. This right here, again, this is my journal of my bike trip that I took several years ago, and I just chronicled each day. Now, I put this together a little bit while I was there. The internet was almost non-existent, so some of it was done whenever I was in town on my phone, and it finished up when I got home and added more images. But basically just journaled our trip, and it just showing images, with some text, kind of like what happened each day, just to chronicle the event. And I really enjoy using Spark Page for this. I'm able to go back and kind of look at this, and a lot of just memory starts coming back. Create galleries like this, and like I mentioned, you can drop in videos. This is a video from YouTube that I just dropped in here. This is just us going down, riding out. I'm not going to play the whole video for the sake of time, but that you can add video within here to tell your story. And then this right here is something I put together actually this past 6 months when people asking for kind of like get to about me. So if you have activity for your students, like an about me page, this is a great way to do it. I just kind of put this together to kind of demonstrate that you can use something like this, even like for a visual resume. Some of the work that I've done in my school district, and then some of the activities that I've done at conferences, interviews, video clips, and links. So these are links to magazine articles that I was kind of featured in, and some of the other activities that I shared, and then lastly, like my YouTube channel. So this is kind of like I think I was asked to do this for a conference that I presented at. So this is just a way for them to see some of the work that I've done. To kind of like say, hey, this is, I can tell you what I can know how to do, or I can just, send it to you and you can watch it. So the super three: Adobe Spark Post, Video, and Spark Page. If you have not tried it, go check it out. Go download it. And now here's some other tools that I just want to share that you can use to tell your story. Now, the ones I mentioned, Spark, the suite of 3 free for educators, K through 12. You have to get it through your school district. If you have your personal account, it's going to be kind of limited as far as you'll see the Adobe Spark logo whenever you create content, which is not too bad. And you can, if you want your own kind of like, if you're working on your own like educator kind of entrepreneurship, you can think it's like $9.99 a month. On my YouTube channel, I have a link where you can get a discount for that if you're interested. But that's available. Now, Rush is also free to download to your computer. You can download it to an iOS device, like an iPad, iPhone, and an Android. You cannot do it on a Chromebook. I say hopefully soon you'll be able to. Now, there's a limit on how many projects you can export on the computer, but also I think recently what I've seen is you can't export 4K. So if you want to export 4K, you have to subscribe. And for a lot of people, like, well, I don't care. I don't need to download 4K. I'm okay with 1080, which is just fine. So those are kind of some of the limitations. Adobe Lightroom is one of my other favorite apps to use. I love to take photographs on my camera and my phone. Adobe Lightroom is the tool that I use to edit photos. Now, why am I talking about a photography app as far as telling my story? Well, you can capture moments in your life and share those. It can be selfies or it can be trips, but photographing is a great way to document what you're doing in your life, in your classroom. I would kind of do a challenge for you is take some pictures while you're at work, and it may not be as glamorous. It's like, well, it's a mess all around. That's kind of the neat thing is see the behind the scenes look at kind of what you're doing. So that's kind of why I mentioned Adobe Lightroom. YouTube is another tool you can use. It's not so much a creation tool, but more like you could get your video and put it up there to YouTube. But it's a way to tell your story either through vlog. I know a ton of people getting into vlogging. You don't have to be a great videographer to get into vlogging. The most important thing is about the story part. If you can engage your audience, you can hook them. It's like get that intro, that first piece, hook them, and then get them to follow your story. And then at the end, do some sort of call to action to say, hey, just like, hey, this is what I did. What do you think? Or, say something in the comments or reach out to me. Or if it's kind of more instructional type, then you can say, hey, why don't you try it and tag me? But that's another way that you can share your story. And then I'll say social media, share your story through social media. You can even document story by story. That's another great way to share who you are, your story. And then mobile phone cameras. I would say, venture to say, many of us have one of these either in our pockets, back pockets, backpacks, purses, satchels, whatever. You have, I would say, a majority of folks will have one of these. I have not met a person that does not, and I say that because there's a camera on here. If you can't get into some apps, I would say, even if you can't use an app, start with your camera, record yourself, take a video of yourself. It's hard to be in front of a camera, but I think the more you can do it, the better you can get at telling your story and let others see, who you are. So try that out. Is the best person to tell your story is going to be you. If you don't tell it, someone else is going to tell it for you. And, they'll get it wrong. Obviously, you'll get it right. And one of the last things I want to do is I want to connect with all of you. And then I think we're going to jump onto some questions here. Is I have links to all my socials. You can find me Claudio Zavala Jr. I love to connect with everyone there. Follow me there and my YouTube as well and I have a website. So you can find me. If you can find me on Instagram, you'll find me everywhere else. Twitter, you can find me everywhere else. I have links to all my spaces there. So, so I hope this has been helpful as far as the tools that you can use to tell stories. And if you want some more deep dive, I would say I'm going to plug my YouTube channel. I have a ton of videos there where I go deep dive into the different tools and little projects that you can do at a time. And so I would say go check that out. And I can't believe I've been talking for almost 20 minutes. Like, time goes so fast. But I guess what we'll do is I'll hop onto some questions. I guess, Holly, is this a good time to jump into questions?
Yeah, no, that was a lot of great information about how to share your story. I loved how, we often only ever think of the kids sharing their story and the kids sharing their stories and students, but I loved how you really talked about, what, as educators and as adults and just people, just getting out and using a camera. It doesn't have to be a fancy one. I know you motivated me to go around and take some photos. And so it's just very inspiring. I love that.
Awesome.
But
Thank you.
little question, just thinking, because I am, primary teacher at heart, and I love learning more about these tools. And I was just wondering, if I was a primary teacher and I wanted, because, we're coming to the end of the school year, and, maybe I want to just let my kids start getting a little dabbled into it. Is there one of those tools that you mentioned that you think would be a great starting point for me?
I would say, depending on the ability for your, like, my wife teaches kids, so they're limited as far as being able to spell. So I would say Spark Post, because you could always just do, maybe let's say you're in the classroom and you're kind of working on keywords or I don't know if it's keywords the word of the day or something like that. They can even say, we're taking the word of the day, or a color, and they can go around taking pictures or draw something with that color, and then add that, if the word is blue, I would say, through practice typing out just the word blue. I know my wife's done stuff like that, so I'm trying to look at all her little projects that she's done. So thinking of that, that's probably something I'd say probably do. And then maybe even video, because they can talk in the video and not have to write anything. So I think the Spark Video would be another tool that they can go through and just say, get in there or shoot a video and then drop it into Spark Video. Definitely, that's probably another one I'd say the next one to try out.
All right. Well, cool. Well, definitely. Yeah. For the younger learners in our lives.
Oh, yeah.
Now, you have to say, there's a question about, you mentioned there's an app and a website as well. Is that for all of them? And so could a student work on something at home, taking some pictures on the app, and then it comes over into the website?
Yeah. So Spark, because you can, again, it's multi-platform. So if I start working on my phone and close or work on the project and then stop working on it, exit out, then I can hop onto the computer, I can finish the project. I tell you, I've done that before. I've started on a computer, then went to a phone, and then I didn't have, something wasn't charged, so I jumped on my iPad, or my daughter has a Chromebook, so I jumped onto her Chromebook and used the Chromebook, which is the great thing about Spark, because it's all those. And then I've gone to my Android and started a project on there, and then finished it on the Chromebook, and vice versa. All three. It's just kind of interesting. It all depends on like your Wi-Fi too. Sometimes it takes a little while just because of the Wi-Fi. Sometimes like, okay, it's taking a little bit longer. Maybe I'll go do some. It's just for the syncing to happen, but it is always I would say instantaneous. My internet right now is just like pretty slow here, so it usually sometimes takes a little bit of time, but most of the time that if you're on the cellular on your phone, whatever you decide to sync with, you'll do that, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, here it is, hopping onto my computer, and then I can finish up the project, which I
I
love.
love it. Yeah, that's such a great feature. I love when you can use both or hop, and like you said, hop to 15 places and still get the project done.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Claudio. We just loved learning all about how to tell our stories. We really appreciate you joining us on Live from NCCE.
Well, thank you for having me, Holly. It's been a pleasure, and can't wait to see you in person again.
I know you mentioned FETC, whoop, whoop. But and thank you for all those friends that joined us today. Whether you are watching, at home, or watching us live, or maybe you're watching this recorded. And so just know that if you are watching it live and you want to rewatch it, you could definitely go ahead and head over to that ncce.org website. Go ahead and select that live from NCCE, and you'll be able to check out all of the amazingness from Claudio today, and as well as all of our sessions from before. So if you want to go back and see what other NCCE lives have been, or you want to listen to Claudio again, feel free to head to ncce.org. And then also, we do these live NCCE events within on Thursday nights at 4 p.m. or 7 p.m. But I also wanted to just let you know that there is an e-learning experience with the NCCE LMS. So you can go to NCCE matrix.lms.com. And as I just scroll down, I just wanted to showcase that there's like cohorts that are getting started. One just got started about Google Classroom. This is a cohort about Teams, and really just, let me close that little pop-up from Mike Higley. He'll get you where you need to be. But just know that NCCE is also sharing, online, blended, and virtual trainings and on-site. So feel free to, continue this learning. Thank you, Claudio. Get on ncce.org. Check out the NCCE Matrix. And I hope that you join us next week, May 20th, the same time, same place, but we're going to have Michelle Zimmerman here. She's going to be talking about the social dilemma and tech for good. So we hope that you join us next week at the same time, same place. And thank you so much, Claudio, for joining us. And I look forward to, like you said, getting to see each other in person. I know I'll always be able to find you digitally.
Awesome. Yes, we'll look forward to that. Thank you again for having me.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a great evening.